So at the top, just click on debug and then click on start debugging. So for the name, let's actually pass a value. So for example, the name could be bird, right? Or the name could be, for example, cat. And the age could be, for example, so I want to pass an invalid value. So I pass the value 0 for the age. I pass the value negative 45 for the power, negative 70, negative 72, 78, for example, for the speed, right? And now let's click on this show me the result here. And now it's about to execute this line of code. So let's click on this step into, and it's about to execute this constructor of this animal class for this instance that we created here. Inside the autos area, you can see this value cat, right? And let's click on this step over. So now it's about to execute this line of code here. It's going to assign, for example, the name value that we passed, which is going to be the cat, to this name property. So let's click on this step over to execute this line of code in its entirety. And now in the autos area, you can see that it says cat is the name property, is assigned to this name property. And if I actually open this here, you can see that the name is cat. So let's close this here. Now it's about to execute this age value, which is going to be 0. Here you can see this 0 here, right? It's about to execute 0 to this age property. 0 is actually an invalid value. So if I actually right click on this age here and then just go into step into specific animal.age.set, here you can see that we have this setter, and inside this setter we created this if statement that says if the value is greater than 0, not 0 but greater than 0, then only in that case we are going to assign value to this age instance variable. So let's click on this step over in order to, as you can see, this if statement is not executed. When it actually reached to this line of code, it actually checked this condition and it actually saw that the value of this value is going to be 0. 0 is not greater than 0, so this if statement is not going to be executed. So it skipped this if statement, and this means that the value of the age instance variable is going to be the default value. So the default value is always 0. Now, if I actually click on this step over again, now let's actually again click on this step over. In the autos area, you can see that the age is 0, the default value. So now it's about to execute this line of code, number 22. The power value, which I passed negative 45. So again, this is actually an invalid value. We are not allowed to pass a negative value to this power in property. So let's right click on this power here, this power property, step into specific animal.power.set. So now again, it's going to actually execute this setter. And again, we checked this condition here, if value is greater than 0. So the value is negative 45. So it's not actually a valid value. So if I actually click on this step over, it's going to actually look at the condition here, and it's going to see that the negative 45 is not greater than 0. So this condition here evaluates to false, and then it's not going to actually execute this if statement. It's going to skip this if statement, and it's going to assign the default value to the power instance variable. So let's click on step over. And as you can see, this if statement is not executed. Let's click on it again, step over. And here you can see, let's click on step over again. And the value of the power instance variable is going to be what? 0 here. So this is the same case for this speed property again. So let's click on step over. And now, as you can see in the autos area, you can see that the value of the age, power, and speed is going to be 0, right? The default values. And then it's gonna, let's actually click on this step over again here. And in this line of code, in line number 26, it's gonna actually execute this line of code. So if I actually click on this step into, now it says your step into request resulted in an automatic step over of a property or okay, yes. And now it says, as you can see, LBR result. So the animal age, you can see that the animal name cat, the animal age is 0, animal power is 0, and the animal speed 0. So let's stop the program and let's actually delete this breakpoint here. Right click on it and then just click on delete breakpoint. Let's run this application, and for the name of the animal, let's actually pass, for example, lion again. For the age, let's pass an invalid value 0, power a negative value, and the speed again a negative value. So let's click on this show me the result, And you can see that the animal name is lion, but the animal age is 0, animal power is 0, and the animal speed is 0. Why? Because these values that we passed to these properties are actually invalid values, and we are not allowed to pass these values to these properties. And that's why we get these default values for these properties, 0, 0, 0. So that's it, and that's enough for this tutorial. And if you have any questions about these concepts, please post a discussion in the course, and then I'll do my best to answer all of your questions. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.